Everyone, I hope you are doing well on this Monday. It's now your turn to ask the questions you want answers to regarding COVID-19. Today, our guest health analyst is Dr. Payal Patel Davladabadi, Associate Professor of Public Health at the University of Evansville. Dr. Payal, will begin this with this question. HIPAA and privacy. Could health departments release perhaps zip codes of COVID-19 cases to give people an idea where certain hotspot areas are located?
Yes, given that this is a national emergency, HIPAA has made various waivers. And so this could be released in order to identify cases. A number of states across the country are doing this just so they are able to look at cases where they are and certain hotspots. So this information can be released and is oftentimes released for research and public health purposes. So this will help us eventually prevent and or control the spread of disease. Yes, it can.
There are so many questions regarding the symptoms on this, but this is one that I saw this weekend that is relatively new, at least publicly. Some health analysts are saying some patients could be developing blood clots.
Yes, this is a newer symptom, and more physicians are seeing this, and we really don't know why this is occurring. It is occurring more in the critically ill patients. We know that COVID likes to attack the lungs. However, physicians are seeing blood clots even in the blood vessels and various organs, such as the lungs and kidneys. Perhaps it's a result of an overactive immune system, but at this point, we really don't know why this is occurring.
Big debate in this country as far as reopening the economy. Why is testing, antibody testing, so important? And with those tests, the role that reagents basically play in all this?
Right. Antibody testing is really important when we want to reopen the economy because it tells us who's had the disease already, so who's immune to it for at least a period of time. And given that the asymptomatic carriers may account for about 25 to 50% of COVID cases, this is essential to know. So until we have widespread antibody testing, we can test everyone to see who's had it, who hasn't, and kind of determine what type of risk is present in the population. It's really essential when we reopen the economy and try to figure out how to reopen in various phases.
And Dr. Fauci is saying that reopening too soon could backfire. What do you think?
I completely agree with that. And again, we've put in so much effort with shelter-in-place orders and just isolating and quarantining and self-distancing. If we open too soon, there may be a possibility for another surge in cases. And the economic impact of this surge could potentially be worse than the current economic impact that we're seeing, which is why the antibody testing is really critical to have widespread so we can determine who's gotten it, who hasn't, and kind of determine the risk and kind of go from there with kind of releasing those restrictions.
And Dr. Payal, there are still people publicly comparing COVID-19 with the flu. What is the difference, though? There is a difference, obviously.
There are a few differences. Yes, they're both respiratory illnesses and cause similar symptoms, but with the flu, we can get a vaccine, and most of us, for the most part, are immune to it. With COVID, there is no vaccine. And given that there's no vaccine, all of us are really susceptible. We have a good chance of getting it if we're not practicing those measures. So the spread is quicker, and also it produces a more severe infection. So far, I mean, when we compare death rates, the flu affects about 1% of the population death rate rise, whereas with COVID, we've seen a mortality rate of about 4%. So it seems to be a more severe infection.
Very, very briefly, Dr. Payal, it's hoped a vaccine could be available 15 months at the earliest. Is that realistic? What's your opinion?
Yes, an experimental vaccine could be available sooner, but if we're talking about mass production of a vaccine, I do think it's realistic. Vaccines currently are on clinical trials, and the time frame has been 12 to 18 months. So yes, I do think that's a realistic timetable.
All right, Dr. Payal Patel Davladabadi, we'll be talking to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we want to hear from you. If you want to ask our doctors questions, head to our Eyewitness News Facebook page or drop me a line on my Brad Bird News Facebook page. Eyewitness News at 4. We'll be right back.